She sat at the wrong desk during orientation and froze when the new hire logged in as the CEO. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Imagine walking into a brand new job, full of excitement and nervous anticipation. You're ready to prove yourself, but everything feels like it's happening all at once. That's exactly what happened to Lisa, a young woman who had just landed her first big corporate job. She had been dreaming about this moment for years, and now it was finally here. The first day of orientation at a prestigious tech company in downtown New York City. The sleek building, the polished floors, the modern furniture, it all felt so surreal. She took a deep breath as she walked into the brightly lit conference room, trying to calm her nerves. She had been told to arrive early, so the room was still empty, except for a few employees already setting up for the day. Her heart raced as she scanned the room for a seat. There were plenty of empty desks, but one at the front caught her eye. It was the one nearest to the projector screen, the one that seemed to have the best view. Without thinking, she quickly walked over and sat down. She pulled out her notebook, trying to look as professional as possible, even though she was internally shaking. The clock ticked down, and slowly, more people started to filter in. Lisa smiled nervously at the few familiar faces she had met during the interview process, but she kept her eyes on the desk in front of her, trying to avoid any awkward conversations. But something felt off. As the room filled, she started to notice subtle things. Whispers, the way the other employees glanced at her, the subtle shift in the atmosphere. She couldn't quite place it, but there was an unease in the air. Then, just as she was starting to relax, she heard someone clear their throat. A man dressed in a sharp suit walked into the room. He was tall, with a confident posture, and his presence seemed to command the attention of everyone around him. Lisa looked up, expecting him to be another executive or department head. But then, he did something that took her by surprise. He walked straight to the desk next to hers, the desk she was sitting at, and sat down. Without a word, he logged into the computer. Lisa's face turned bright red. She froze. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. This wasn't just any desk. This was the CEO's desk, and she had sat in it. It was a simple mistake, but in that moment, it felt like the worst possible thing she could have done. The CEO, who had just walked in, seemed completely unfazed. But Lisa, on the other hand, felt like the ground had opened up beneath her. She had no idea how to react. Her nerves, which had been running high since the morning, now completely took over. She could feel the stares from the others in the room, the whispers behind her back. She wanted to vanish, to leave, but she couldn't move. Her body felt frozen. Her heart pounded in her chest. The CEO, noticing her discomfort, finally looked up. His eyes locked with hers, and for a brief moment, she could see the slightest hint of a smile on his face. "Don't worry," he said, his voice calm and reassuring. "It's an easy mix-up. Happens to the best of us." Lisa didn't know what to say. She stammered out an apology, her words barely coming out. The whole situation felt like a nightmare, but something in the CEO's demeanor made her feel like she wasn't being judged. As the orientation continued, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of embarrassment. She kept stealing glances at the CEO, wondering what he thought of her. Was she the silly new hire who didn't know the rules? Was she someone he would forget in a week, or someone he would remember for all the wrong reasons? Little did Lisa know, this moment, this awkward, embarrassing mistake, was the beginning of something much more significant than she could have ever imagined. The next few days at the company felt like a blur for Lisa. She couldn't get the awkward moment with the CEO out of her head. Every time she passed him in the hallway, she couldn't help but feel a wave of embarrassment rush over her. She had never felt so out of place in her life. But strangely, every time their eyes met, there was a hint of recognition, something unspoken, something that told her it was okay. Maybe it wasn't the end of the world. Maybe she had made a mistake, but that didn't mean she had ruined her chance. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being judged, even if she knew in her heart that she wasn't. The first few days at work were all about introductions, getting to know the ropes, and attending meetings. But Lisa couldn't help but focus on one thing: the man who had unintentionally made her feel like a fool. His presence lingered in the back of her mind like a shadow. The CEO, of course, was always there, moving between meetings, signing papers, and handling business with the kind of poise Lisa could never seem to muster. His cool, composed demeanor was intimidating, but also strangely reassuring. He was the kind of man who seemed to have everything together, while Lisa was just trying to keep her head above water. It was Friday afternoon when she was once again seated at the long conference table, listening to her team lead present the progress on an ongoing project. Her mind wandered. She found herself wondering what the CEO was doing and where he was. Was he in the office? Was he busy? Suddenly, the door to the conference room opened, and in walked the man who had been on her mind for days. It was the CEO, Liam Parker. He was just as composed as always, his tailored suit fitting perfectly, his expression unreadable. But this time, instead of heading straight for the back of the room, he walked toward the table, his eyes scanning the room before landing on her. For a split second, their eyes met. Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. She quickly looked away, feeling that same rush of embarrassment. But to her surprise, Liam didn't seem to mind. He offered a small smile and sat down at the head of the table, where a chair had been left vacant for him. Lisa tried to focus on the presentation in front of her, but her thoughts kept drifting back to him. Was he here for business? Or was this just a coincidence? The meeting continued, and Lisa tried to stay engaged, but every time she looked up, she caught Liam's gaze. There was something different about the way he was looking at her. He wasn't the cold, distant CEO she had initially thought him to be. There was a warmth in his eyes, an understanding. As the meeting drew to a close, Liam stood up and walked toward the door. Before he left, he turned back to her and spoke in a low voice, just loud enough for her to hear. "I hope you're settling in well, Lisa. Let me know if you need anything." His words were simple, but the sincerity behind them made her feel a little less out of place. She nodded quickly, a little taken aback. "Thank you, Mr. Parker. I will," she said, her voice a little shakier than she intended. But Liam only smiled and left the room, disappearing as quickly as he had come. The rest of the day passed in a haze. Lisa couldn't stop thinking about their brief interaction. It was so unlike her first impression of him. He wasn't the cold, aloof CEO she had expected. He was kind, genuine, and for some reason, that made her feel a little less nervous about the whole situation. By the time the weekend came, Lisa had decided to stop overthinking everything. She had made a mistake, but it didn't have to define her. She was going to work hard, prove herself, and take this opportunity seriously. She was still the same person who had gotten this job on her own merit. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. On Monday, when she arrived at the office, she was greeted by a pleasant surprise. A message from Liam Parker himself. It was short and to the point, but it made her heart race nonetheless. "Lisa, would you be available for a quick meeting at 2? I'd like to discuss your progress so far." The words felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. A meeting with the CEO was a big deal, but it also felt like an opportunity to show him that she was capable. And she was determined not to screw it up. At 2 o'clock, Lisa walked into the sleek glass-walled office. The door opened with a soft whoosh, and Liam was standing behind a large desk, his hands clasped in front of him. He looked up from his laptop and smiled. "Lisa, please have a seat." She sat down, trying to keep her composure. The room was quiet, almost too quiet. She couldn't tell if he was going to grill her about her performance or if this was just a casual check-in. "How's everything going so far?" he asked, his tone calm. "Everything's been good," she said, her voice steady. "I've been keeping up with the training and the work assigned to me. It's been a bit overwhelming, but I'm getting there." Liam nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's good to hear. I know it can be a lot at first, but I'm confident you'll do great. I'm impressed with your attitude so far." Lisa felt a flush of warmth spread across her cheeks. Was he complimenting her? She didn't know what to say. "Thank you," she replied, her voice a little softer than usual. "I'm really trying to make the most of this opportunity." Liam smiled again, that small, reassuring smile. "I can tell. And I like that. Keep up the good work, Lisa. We'll be in touch soon." Lisa stood up, a little dazed. "Thank you, Mr. Parker." She left his office with her heart pounding. The meeting had gone better than she expected, and she had earned his approval. As she walked back to her desk, she couldn't help but smile. Maybe this was the fresh start she had been hoping for. The next few days at work felt like a whirlwind for Lisa. She had received positive feedback from Liam in their brief meeting, and that small gesture of kindness had lifted her spirits. It was exactly what she needed to regain her confidence after the embarrassing mistake she had made on the first day. She worked harder than ever, keeping her head down, focusing on her tasks, and trying not to overthink anything. The office was bustling, and Lisa quickly realized that the pace here was unlike anything she had experienced before. It wasn't just about the work. It was about the people, the expectations, and the unspoken pressure to perform. Every day felt like a test, and she was determined to pass. But despite all her effort, she couldn't escape the feeling that the first impression she had left with Liam still lingered between them. It wasn't something he had said, but something in the way he looked at her during their meetings. She couldn't shake the thought that he saw her as someone who had made a mistake that could cost her the opportunity she had fought so hard for. One afternoon, Lisa was busy with a presentation when she received a sudden email from Liam. He was inviting her to attend a company-wide meeting later that week. The subject line was simple: attendance required. She stared at the email for a long moment, her heart racing. Was this a routine meeting, or was this another opportunity for him to assess her? Was he going to address the incident from the orientation? She wasn't sure, but she couldn't afford to miss it. She prepared herself mentally for the meeting, rehearsing her presentation and trying to focus on the facts. When the day finally arrived, Lisa entered the large conference room with a sense of unease. It was filled with executives and department heads, all gathered around a long, polished table. Liam was seated at the head of the table, looking as poised and composed as always. His presence was commanding, but there was something different about him today. He wasn't just the CEO running the meeting. He was the man who had looked at her with kindness and understanding during their brief encounter. She took a seat, trying to blend in, but the moment Liam's eyes met hers, her stomach fluttered. He gave her a brief nod, as if acknowledging her presence, but quickly turned his attention to the rest of the room. The meeting began, and Lisa did her best to focus. She listened intently as different team leaders presented their updates, but her mind kept drifting back to Liam. She couldn't help but wonder what he was thinking about her. Was he still judging her for her mistake, or had he already moved past it? It wasn't until the meeting was halfway through that she finally understood why Liam had invited her. He wasn't there to reprimand her. He was there to see how she handled the pressure. He called on her during the meeting to present her findings for a project she had been working on. Lisa froze for a split second. This was her moment. She had worked tirelessly on the project, but now, standing in front of the room, she felt the weight of everyone's eyes on her. Her palms were sweaty, and her heart was pounding in her chest. But then she remembered what Liam had said to her during their meeting. He believed in her. She took a deep breath, cleared her throat, and began. As she spoke, she felt a shift. The nervousness started to fade, and she focused on the words she had prepared. The presentation flowed smoothly, and by the time she finished, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. The room was silent for a moment, and then Liam spoke. "Excellent work, Lisa. Very thorough," he said, his voice steady. "I'm impressed." A smile tugged at the corners of Lisa's lips. She had done it. She had earned his approval, and more importantly, she had proven to herself that she was capable. After the meeting, Lisa returned to her desk, her head held high. She couldn't believe how much had changed in just a few short weeks. The nervous girl who had sat at the wrong desk during orientation was gone. In her place was someone who had found her footing, who had earned the respect of the people around her. As the day ended, Lisa was packing up her things when she received a message from Liam. "Lisa, would you like to grab a coffee tomorrow? I'd like to discuss some upcoming opportunities for you." Her heart skipped a beat. Was this a chance to move forward? A chance to work closer with him? She didn't know, but she was eager to find out. She quickly typed out a response, agreeing to meet him the next day. The thought of spending more time with Liam made her nervous, but this time, it wasn't fear of judgment that consumed her. It was excitement. Excitement for what was to come. The next morning, she arrived at the coffee shop, her heart pounding with anticipation. She found Liam already seated at a table by the window. He looked up when she walked in, his smile warm. "Lisa, glad you could make it," he said, gesturing for her to sit down. She smiled and sat across from him, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. This was it, the beginning of something new. Liam wasted no time. I've been impressed with your work so far, Lisa. You've shown real promise, and I want to offer you more responsibility. Lisa's eyes widened. Was he really offering her more? He continued, there's a new project coming up, and I'd like you to be a part of it. You'll be working closely with me on this, and I think you'll find it challenging, but rewarding. Lisa felt a surge of pride. I'd be honored, she replied, her voice steady. Liam smiled, clearly pleased. I thought you might say that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do. The conversation shifted, and they discussed the details of the new project. As Lisa listened to Liam, she couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude. She had started this job unsure of herself, but now, she was being given a chance to prove her worth. A chance to show that she belonged here, in this world she had always dreamed of being a part of. As the meeting ended, Liam stood up and extended his hand. I'll see you Monday, Lisa. We'll hit the ground running. Lisa shook his hand, feeling the warmth of his confidence in her. She was ready for the challenge, ready to show the world, and herself, that she could succeed. And maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something more. The days following their coffee meeting were filled with an energy Lisa hadn't felt in a long time. She had been given a new responsibility, one that put her directly in Liam's orbit. The new project he mentioned was a big deal, involving multiple departments and a lot of cross-team collaboration. Lisa was both excited and terrified. She had been working for this moment, but now that it was here, she wondered if she was really ready. Each day was a new challenge, but she threw herself into the work with everything she had. It wasn't just about the job anymore. It was about proving to herself that she belonged here, that she could be more than the girl who had embarrassed herself on her first day. She was determined to show Liam that he had made the right choice in offering her this opportunity. As the weeks passed, Lisa found herself spending more and more time in meetings with Liam. He wasn't just the CEO anymore. He was a mentor, someone she could learn from. And as they worked together on the project, she started to see a different side of him, one that wasn't just about business and numbers, but about the people around him. He was smart, yes, but he was also kind, compassionate even. He cared about the work, but he also cared about the people doing it. One afternoon, after another long meeting, Liam asked Lisa to stay behind. The others filed out of the room, and Lisa, a little hesitant, stayed seated at the table. Liam stood by the window, looking out at the skyline of New York. Lisa, he said, his voice calm but serious. I've been watching you these past few weeks. You've really stepped up to the plate, and I want to make sure you're being recognized for it. Lisa blinked, unsure of what he meant. What do you mean? She asked, her voice quiet. Liam turned to face her, his expression thoughtful. I've been thinking about your future here. You've got potential, and I think you could do great things at this company. So, I want to offer you a promotion. Lisa's heart skipped a beat. A promotion? She hadn't been expecting that. Are you serious? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam smiled, a small, reassuring smile. I'm very serious. I think you've earned it. You've been putting in the work, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. This promotion would mean more responsibility, more visibility, and more opportunities. You'll be managing a team, and I believe you're ready for it. Lisa couldn't believe what she was hearing. This was everything she had hoped for, everything she had worked for. It felt surreal. She had gone from being the nervous new hire, sitting at the wrong desk, to being offered a chance to lead a team. I don't know what to say, she said, her voice shaky with excitement. Liam nodded. You don't have to say anything right now. Just take some time to think about it. But know that the offer is there. Lisa nodded, still trying to process what had just happened. She couldn't believe it. After everything she had gone through, the mistakes, the doubt, the fear, she had earned this. She had proved herself. The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions for Lisa. She was thrilled by the promotion, but she was also overwhelmed by the responsibility that came with it. She had never managed a team before, and the pressure was real. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized she was ready. She had learned so much in the short time she had been with the company, and now she had the chance to put that knowledge into practice. On the day she officially received her promotion, Lisa walked into the office with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt before. She knew this was just the beginning. She had come a long way, but there was still so much to learn, so much to achieve. As she walked into the conference room for her first meeting as a team leader, she couldn't help but glance around the room. This was it. She was in charge now. But as she took her seat at the head of the table, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Liam, who had been her mentor and guide, was no longer just the CEO. He had become something more, a symbol of everything she had worked for, everything she had overcome. She was no longer just the girl who sat at the wrong desk. She was someone who had earned her place at the table. And as the meeting began, she spoke with confidence, leading her team through the agenda with a sense of assurance she never thought possible. Liam watched from the back of the room, a small smile playing on his lips. He had seen this coming. He knew she had it in her. And as Lisa presented her ideas and took charge of the room, he couldn't help but feel proud of how far she had come. When the meeting ended, Lisa gathered her things and stood up, feeling a sense of pride in her work. She had done it. She had made it. As she walked out of the conference room, Liam approached her. "You did great today," he said, his tone warm. "I'm really impressed. You're going to do amazing things here, Lisa." Lisa smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly. "I couldn't have done it without your help." Liam gave her a nod. "You earned this. Keep it up." Lisa walked back to her desk, feeling like a different person. She had earned Liam's respect, and more importantly, she had earned her own. The future was wide open, and she was ready to take it on. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change everything, not just in her career, but in her life. And in the coming months, as she faced new challenges and opportunities, Lisa would find herself not only growing in her professional life, but also discovering new parts of herself she never knew existed. The weeks that followed Lisa's promotion were nothing short of transformative. She had quickly adapted to her new role as a team leader, overseeing a group of talented individuals who looked to her for guidance and direction. It was a responsibility she took seriously, but it also made her realize just how much she had grown since that first embarrassing day at the company. She was no longer the shy new hire unsure of her place. She was a leader, and she was learning every day. One morning, as Lisa prepared for a meeting, she was called into Liam's office. Her heart raced with a mix of excitement and curiosity. She had been working hard, and she had a feeling this meeting was going to be important. When she entered, Liam greeted her with a smile and motioned for her to sit down. "Lisa, how's everything going?" he asked, his tone friendly but serious. Lisa smiled back, trying to keep her nerves in check. "Everything is great, Mr. Parker. The team is doing well, and we're on track for the project deadlines." Liam nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "I'm glad to hear that, but there's something I'd like to discuss with you." Lisa felt a twinge of anxiety. "Of course. What is it?" Liam leaned back in his chair, his hands clasped together. "We've been looking at the company's expansion strategy, and I think it's time for you to take on a more prominent role. I'm offering you a leadership position in the new division we're launching next quarter. It's a big step, and I believe you're ready for it." Lisa blinked, trying to process what he had just said. A leadership position? She had barely settled into her current role, and now Liam was offering her a chance to oversee an entire division. It was a huge opportunity, and she wasn't sure if she was ready for it. But at the same time, she couldn't ignore the excitement bubbling inside her. This was everything she had ever wanted. "I don't know what to say," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam smiled, his expression kind but confident. "You don't have to say anything right now. Think it over, but I want you to know that this opportunity is yours if you want it." Lisa left the meeting with her mind spinning. She had been given a chance to move up in the company, but it was also a huge leap. She wasn't sure if she was ready for the added pressure and responsibility, but deep down, she knew she couldn't pass up this opportunity. The following days were filled with long hours of reflection. Lisa weighed the pros and cons, questioning whether she was ready to take on even more than she already had. But one thing was clear. She had grown so much since joining the company, and this new challenge might be exactly what she needed to push herself even further. One evening, as Lisa sat in her apartment, going over notes for the new division, she received a message from Liam. It was short and simple. "Lisa, I trust you. Whatever you decide, know that you have my support." His words reassured her. She had already made up her mind. The next day, Lisa walked into the office with a sense of purpose. She had made her decision. She was going to take the position. As she stepped into Liam's office to inform him of her choice, she felt a surge of confidence. "Mr. Parker, I've thought it over, and I'd love to accept the new position. I'm ready for the challenge." Liam's face lit up with approval. "I knew you would. You're going to do great things, Lisa. I'm excited to see where this takes you. With Liam's encouragement, Lisa dove headfirst into her new role. The new division was everything she had hoped for. A challenge, an opportunity to showcase her skills, and a chance to make a real impact. And though the workload was demanding, Lisa found herself thriving under the pressure. Her confidence grew every day, and soon, she was leading meetings with the same assurance that Liam had shown her from the start. Months passed, and Lisa's hard work paid off. The new division was thriving, and Lisa was proving herself as a capable and effective leader. But beyond the professional success, something else was happening. As she worked closely with Liam, their relationship began to change. They had always shared a professional respect for each other. But now, there was something more. It started with the small moments. The way Liam would look at her after a successful meeting, or the encouraging words he offered when things got tough. It wasn't love, not yet, but Lisa could feel the shift. And though she tried to focus on the work, she couldn't help but wonder if Liam was beginning to feel the same way. The more they worked together, the more they found themselves drawn to each other. They shared lunch breaks, small talks, and moments of laughter amidst the stress of their jobs. Lisa never expected it to happen, but as she looked at Liam, she realized she had developed feelings for him. Feelings that went beyond just admiration. But she wasn't sure where this would lead. She had worked so hard to get to this point in her career, and the last thing she wanted was to complicate things. Yet, as she stood in front of him one day, discussing a major breakthrough in the project, she couldn't deny the chemistry that was there. It was subtle, but it was real. And as the day ended, Liam looked at her with a soft smile. "Lisa," he said, his voice quiet, "I just want you to know that I'm proud of everything you've accomplished. You've done more than I could have hoped for." Lisa smiled, feeling her heart swell with emotion. "Thank you, Liam. That means a lot to me." And in that moment, as she looked into his eyes, she realized that maybe, just maybe, this professional journey they were on wasn't the only thing that was about to change. There was something more between them now. Something that, in time, would take them both by surprise. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of new challenges and growth for Lisa. Her leadership role in the new division had put her under more pressure, but she thrived in the demanding environment. She was constantly pushing herself to be better, to prove that she belonged in this position. The work was fast-paced, the stakes were high, but Lisa found herself more confident than ever before. She had earned the respect of her team, and the project she was leading was moving ahead faster than expected. Her ideas were being implemented, and the results were visible. As the new division gained momentum, Lisa's relationship with Liam also evolved. What had once been a professional respect was now something more, a quiet connection that neither of them had acknowledged outright, but that neither could deny. They began spending more time together, working late into the evening, discussing strategies, and bouncing ideas off each other. It was during one of these late nights at the office that Lisa noticed something had changed. They were sitting in Liam's office, reviewing the project's progress. The room was dim, with only the glow of the desk lamp illuminating their faces. Liam leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on the papers in front of him. Lisa felt the weight of his stare, as if he were seeing her in a new light. She tried to focus on the numbers on the page in front of her, but her mind kept wandering back to him. For the first time, she wasn't just the team leader. She was someone he was relying on. And somehow, that felt different. "You're doing great, Lisa," Liam said, breaking the silence. His voice was warm, but there was something in the way he said it that made her heart race. "This division is succeeding because of you. I'm proud of what you've accomplished." The words made her feel a sense of pride, but they also made her feel exposed, as if the walls between them were starting to come down. She didn't know what to say. Was he speaking to her as a mentor, or was there something more to his words? She glanced up at him, and for a split second, their eyes met. The moment felt charged, like something was hanging in the air between them. But before either of them could say anything more, the sound of the office door opening broke the spell. One of Lisa's colleagues popped their head in to announce that the final meeting of the day was about to begin. The tension in the room melted away instantly, and Lisa quickly stood up, trying to shake off the odd feeling that had settled over her. As she walked out of the office, she couldn't help but glance back at Liam. He was still sitting there, his gaze focused on the papers in front of him, but there was something different in the way he was looking at her. It wasn't just professional respect anymore. It was something more personal, something she couldn't put her finger on. Over the next few days, their interactions became more frequent. They would sit in meetings together, but now, Lisa noticed the small gestures. Liam asking her opinion, offering to take a break with her, the way he would smile a little longer when they exchanged pleasantries. It was subtle, but it was there. Lisa began to feel something stirring inside her, a feeling she had tried to ignore. She had worked so hard to get where she was, and she had never allowed herself to get distracted by anything, especially not by the CEO of the company. But now, with every glance, every conversation, she couldn't deny that something was changing between them. It was during a particularly stressful week that Lisa realized just how deep her feelings had grown. The project was hitting a few roadblocks, and everyone was feeling the pressure. Liam had called a team-wide meeting to address the issues and find solutions. Lisa had been working nonstop for days, and when the meeting started, she could feel the exhaustion settling in. But when Liam spoke, his voice calm and steady, it had an unexpected effect on her. "We're going to get through this," he said, looking directly at Lisa. "I trust you, Lisa. You've handled every challenge thrown your way, and I know you'll find a way through this one too." The words were simple, but they resonated with her. She had never realized just how much his trust in her meant until that moment. It wasn't just about the work. It was about the bond they were forming, the connection that had grown over the past few months. After the meeting, Lisa found herself walking back to her desk, her mind buzzing. The world around her seemed to blur as she thought about everything that had happened since she started at the company. She had come so far, and now, she was standing at the edge of something new. Something she wasn't sure she was ready for. That night, as she sat in her apartment, reviewing some project documents, her phone buzzed. She picked it up and saw that it was a text from Liam. It was a simple message. "Can we talk tomorrow after work? I think it's time we discuss something important." Lisa's heart skipped a beat. What could this be about? She had no idea, but one thing was for sure, her life at the company had just taken another turn. The next day, as Lisa entered Liam's office, she could feel her nerves rising. She didn't know what to expect. Liam stood up when she entered, motioning for her to sit down. "Lisa," he began, his voice calm, "I've been thinking a lot about you, about the future of this company, and about how much potential you have. I want to offer you something more, something that could change everything." Lisa sat up straighter, her heart pounding in her chest. What was he about to say? He continued, "I'm offering you a chance to become a partner in the company. You've shown incredible leadership, and I believe you have what it takes to be part of the next phase of our growth." The words hung in the air, and Lisa felt her breath catch in her throat. This was more than she had ever imagined. She had worked hard, but this was beyond her wildest dreams. "Are you sure?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam smiled. "I'm certain. I want you to be a part of something bigger. Together, we can make this company even greater." Lisa's mind raced. She had a choice to make, and she knew this would be the moment that defined her future. The days following Liam's offer to make her a partner in the company were filled with a whirlwind of emotions for Lisa. At first, she could hardly believe it. This was the kind of opportunity she had dreamed about, the kind she had worked so hard to earn. But now that it was within her grasp, Lisa found herself questioning everything. Was she ready for this? Was she prepared to take on this level of responsibility, to make decisions that would affect not only her future, but the future of the company? The weight of the decision settled heavily on her shoulders. Over the next few days, she spent every spare moment reflecting, weighing the pros and cons. She knew that if she accepted, her life would change forever. She would be stepping into a role that would require every ounce of her energy, every bit of her ambition. But she also knew that she had come this far because of her hard work, her determination, and the trust that Liam had placed in her. One evening, as she sat in her apartment, staring at the offer letter in front of her, Lisa received a call from Liam. "Lisa, I know this is a big decision," he said, his voice calm and understanding. "I just want you to know that no matter what you choose, I'm confident in your abilities. You've already proven yourself, and I believe in you." His words brought a sense of calm to her chaotic thoughts. She had spent so much time questioning herself, but maybe it was time to stop doubting and trust in what she had already accomplished. The next day, Lisa walked into the office with a clear mind. She had made her decision. She was going to accept the offer. As she walked into Liam's office, she felt a rush of excitement mixed with a bit of nervousness. She had never been more certain about anything in her life. Liam looked up from his desk as she entered, and a smile spread across his face when he saw her. "You've made up your mind?" he asked, his voice gentle. Lisa nodded, her heart racing. "Yes," she said, her voice steady. "I'm ready for this. I want to be a part of the company's future." Liam stood up and extended his hand to her, his smile widening. "I'm glad to hear that. You've earned this, Lisa." She shook his hand, a feeling of accomplishment washing over her. This was just the beginning. As Lisa settled into her new role, she found herself facing challenges she hadn't anticipated. The responsibility was greater than she had ever imagined, but she also felt more fulfilled than ever before. She was making decisions, leading meetings, and shaping the direction of the company. Every day was a learning experience, and every success, no matter how small, felt like a victory. Liam continued to be a guiding force in her life, offering support and advice when she needed it. But as time went on, Lisa began to realize that her feelings for him had deepened. What had started as admiration and respect had slowly turned into something more. She found herself thinking about him outside of work, wondering if there was something between them beyond their professional relationship. She didn't know if he felt the same way, but she couldn't ignore the pull she felt whenever they were together. As the months passed, their professional relationship continued to thrive. Lisa was thriving in her new role, and the company was doing better than ever. But the connection between her and Liam had also grown stronger. They began to spend more time together outside of work, grabbing dinner after long days or talking about the future of the company. It wasn't long before Lisa realized that she had fallen for him. She hadn't expected it to happen, but now it was undeniable. She cared for him in a way that went beyond admiration. One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, Lisa and Liam sat down for dinner at a small, quiet restaurant near their office. The atmosphere was relaxed, and the food was delicious. As they ate, the conversation turned more personal. They talked about their dreams, their goals, and their lives outside of work. It felt different, more intimate than anything they had shared before. As the night went on, Lisa found herself opening up in a way she hadn't before. She told Liam about her past, about the struggles she had faced before joining the company, and about the journey that had led her to where she was now. Liam listened intently, his eyes never leaving hers. When she finished, there was a long silence. For a moment, Lisa felt exposed, unsure of how he would react. But then, Liam spoke. "I admire your strength, Lisa," he said, his voice soft. "You've worked so hard to get to where you are, and I have so much respect for that." His words sent a shiver down her spine. She looked at him, feeling the weight of the moment. She had never expected to find herself here, sharing a quiet moment with him, but now that she was, it felt right. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "That means a lot to me." The conversation shifted, but the connection between them lingered. As they finished their meal, Lisa realized that the feelings she had for Liam were more than just admiration. She had grown to care for him in a way that went beyond anything she had expected. As they walked out of the restaurant, Liam turned to her and smiled. "I'm glad we could do this," he said. "It's nice to have some time away from the office." Lisa smiled back, feeling her heart race. "Me too," she replied, her voice soft. As they parted ways that night, Lisa couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. She didn't know where things would go with Liam, but one thing was certain. She was ready to explore whatever the future held. She had come so far in her career, and now, she was ready for something more. The question was, what would Liam's feelings be? The weeks that followed were filled with a growing sense of anticipation for Lisa. The connection between her and Liam had deepened, but she was still unsure about where things were headed. Despite the undeniable chemistry they shared, they both remained professional at work, as if the boundary between their personal and professional lives had yet to be fully crossed. Lisa focused on her new leadership position, pouring her energy into her team and the company's growth. But there were moments, small, fleeting moments, when she caught herself thinking about Liam in a way that was more than just professional. One day, as they sat in a meeting discussing the upcoming product launch, Lisa felt her pulse quicken when their eyes met. There was something unspoken between them, a tension in the air that neither of them seemed ready to acknowledge. The meeting concluded, and everyone began to leave the room. As Lisa stood up to gather her things, Liam called her name. "Lisa, can you stay for a minute?" Her heart skipped a beat. She nodded, not trusting her voice. When the room cleared, Liam stood up and walked over to her, his face softening as he approached. "I've been thinking," he began, his tone hesitant. "About us, about everything. I know we've been focused on work, but I can't deny that there's something between us. And I want to be honest with you." Lisa's breath caught in her throat. She had been waiting for this moment, but now that it was here, she wasn't sure what to say. "Liam," she said quietly, "I've been feeling the same way, but I don't know if it's the right time. We're both so focused on our careers, and this job means so much to me. I don't want anything to jeopardize that." Liam nodded, his eyes thoughtful. "I understand. This isn't easy, but I think it's important that we acknowledge it. You mean more to me than just a colleague, and I think you feel the same way. I'm willing to take this step, no matter what it might mean for us professionally." Lisa felt a wave of relief wash over her. She had been so afraid of the complications that could arise from their growing feelings for each other. But hearing Liam's words made her realize that they were on the same page. "So what now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "We take it one day at a time," Liam said, his voice steady. "We keep doing what we're doing, working hard, building the company, and supporting each other. But we also make space for whatever this is between us." The honesty in his words made Lisa's heart swell. She didn't know where this would go, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was ready to explore it. The next few weeks were filled with a new energy between them. They continued to work together as a team, but there was now an unspoken understanding between them. Their conversations were more personal, their moments together more intimate. They would meet for coffee after long days at the office, sharing stories about their lives outside of work, about their dreams and fears. It felt natural, easy, as if they had always been this close. But despite the growing closeness, there was still a sense of uncertainty. Lisa couldn't help but wonder if things were moving too quickly, if she was making a mistake. She had worked so hard to get to where she was, and she didn't want anything, least of all a relationship, to distract her from her goals. Yet, every time Liam looked at her, every time he spoke to her with that warmth in his eyes, she felt something shift inside her. It was the kind of connection she had never expected, and it was becoming impossible to ignore. One evening, after a particularly long week, Lisa found herself sitting in a quiet bar with Liam. It was a rare moment for the two of them to unwind. They talked about everything and nothing, laughing over drinks and sharing stories from their pasts. The atmosphere was relaxed, but there was a heaviness in the air, an undeniable pull between them. As the night wore on, the conversation turned more serious. "Lisa," Liam said, his voice low, "I've been thinking a lot about us, and I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for you in every way." Lisa felt her heart race. She had never heard him speak so openly, and the vulnerability in his words made her feel a sense of warmth she hadn't expected. "Liam," she said, her voice soft, "I'm scared. I'm scared of what this could mean, of what could happen if things go wrong. I don't want to lose everything I've worked for." Liam reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I understand your fears. I'm scared too. But I think we both deserve happiness, and I think we have something real here. We'll take it slow, Lisa. No pressure." For the first time in weeks, Lisa felt a sense of calm. She had been holding on to her fears, thinking they would protect her, but now she realized that they were holding her back. She couldn't keep living in fear of what could go wrong. She had to trust herself, trust Liam, and trust that whatever happened, they could face it together. As they left the bar that night, Lisa couldn't help but feel a sense of peace settle over her. They were walking into the unknown, but for the first time, the unknown didn't seem so scary. There was something in the way Liam held her hand, something in the way he looked at her, that made her believe they could handle whatever came their way. It wasn't going to be easy, but with Liam by her side, Lisa felt ready to take the next step, both in her career and in her heart. Months passed, and Lisa found herself in a place she never thought possible. She had risen through the ranks, gained the trust of her team, and become a crucial part of the company's future. But it wasn't just her career that was changing. Her relationship with Liam had deepened, blossoming into something more than either of them had expected. They had both come to realize that their connection was not just professional, but something far more personal and meaningful. They navigated the complexities of their relationship with care, knowing the risks it carried, but neither of them could ignore the bond they had built. They had become more than colleagues. They had become partners in every sense of the word, supporting each other both in the boardroom and in life. One evening, after another successful day at the office, Lisa found herself walking with Liam to their favorite spot in the city, a quiet park with a breathtaking view of the skyline. It had become their escape, a place where they could unwind, talk freely, and just be themselves. As they sat on the bench, Lisa leaned her head on his shoulder, feeling a deep sense of peace. "I still can't believe how far we've come," she said softly, her voice filled with awe. "A year ago, I was just a new hire, unsure of my place, and now I'm here. I'm leading a team, and I'm a part of something bigger." Liam smiled, his arm wrapping around her. "You've worked for it, Lisa. You've earned every bit of it. And I'm proud of you." There was a long pause, the sounds of the city fading into the background. Lisa looked up at him, her heart full. "And I'm proud of us," she added, her voice barely above a whisper. What we have, it's more than I could have ever imagined." Liam's eyes softened as he gazed at her. "I never expected this either," he admitted. "But now that we're here, I can't imagine my life without you in it." The words were simple, but they held so much weight. For a long time, Lisa had been afraid of this moment, afraid of what would happen if she let herself get too close, afraid of losing everything she had worked for. But now, sitting beside Liam, she realized that she hadn't lost anything. She had gained more than she ever thought possible. The connection they shared had made her stronger, more confident, and more driven than ever before. They had become a team in every sense of the word, both professionally and personally. As the night sky stretched out above them, Liam turned to Lisa, his expression serious yet full of affection. "I've been thinking about something," he said. "I know we've been taking things slow, but I want you to know that I'm committed to this, committed to you. Whatever comes next, I want to face it with you by my side." Lisa felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She had been thinking about the same thing, but hearing him say it out loud made it real in a way she hadn't anticipated. "I want that too," she said, her voice steady. "I want us to build something together, both in the company and in our lives." Liam smiled, the weight of his words lifting into the night air. "We will," he said softly. "We're just getting started." The next few months were filled with growth, both for Lisa and for the company. She continued to lead her team with confidence, her ideas being implemented and celebrated. She had earned the respect of everyone around her, and her leadership was only becoming more recognized. But the greatest change came not from her professional life, but from the way she and Liam had grown together. Their relationship deepened, rooted in trust, respect, and a shared vision for the future. They began to make plans for their life outside of work, dreaming of vacations, shared moments, and even talking about the possibility of a future together, beyond the walls of the office. It wasn't all smooth sailing. There were still moments of doubt, moments when Lisa questioned whether she was doing the right thing, moments when she feared that the balance between work and personal life would shift in the wrong direction. But with Liam by her side, those moments became easier to navigate. They were a team in every sense of the word, supporting each other through the highs and lows. And as time went on, their bond only grew stronger. Then, one afternoon, as they walked through the city together, Liam took her hand in his. He stopped in front of a small, quiet cafe and turned to her. "Lisa," he began, his voice softer than usual, "there's something I've been thinking about for a while. Something I want to ask you." Lisa looked up at him, her heart racing. "What was this about?" "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam took a deep breath, as if gathering his thoughts. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about the future, and I can't imagine mine without you in it." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box, holding it out to her. "Lisa, will you marry me?" Time seemed to stand still as Lisa stared at the box in his hand. Her mind raced, her heart pounding in her chest. She had never expected this moment to come so suddenly, but now that it was here, she couldn't imagine saying anything but yes. "Yes," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Liam's face lit up with a smile. That took her breath away. He slipped the ring on her finger, and they stood there, in the middle of the bustling city, surrounded by the noise and movement of life. But in that moment, it was just the two of them. They had built something together, something strong, something lasting. And as Lisa looked up at Liam, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together. With a love that had grown out of respect, trust, and shared dreams. They were ready for whatever came next. In this captivating narrative, we dive deep into one of the most inspiring millionaire stories, following the journey of a young woman who rises from uncertainty to success in a prestigious company. Lisa, a determined new hire, finds herself making a series of bold decisions that not only shape her career, but lead her into a life-changing connection with Liam, the CEO. As they navigate their professional relationship, their bond grows, and what starts as a mentor-mentee relationship blossoms into something much more meaningful. This heartfelt tale is a powerful addition to the world of millionaire stories, highlighting themes of ambition, personal growth, and love in the workplace. With challenges, self-doubt, and triumphs, Lisa proves that with determination and the right support, anyone can achieve greatness. As the story unfolds, Lisa is presented with an offer that could transform her life forever, a pivotal moment that aligns with the kind of transformative millionaire stories that inspire millions. Alongside her rise to leadership, the story also explores the emotional journey of balancing career ambitions with personal connections, making this one of the most relatable millionaire stories out there. The ups and downs, coupled with the underlying romance, show that even in the world of high-powered business, love and partnership can be just as important as success. As Lisa finds herself in a position of influence, she begins to understand that the real wealth lies not just in financial gain, but in the relationships and opportunities she nurtures. This millionaire story concludes with a proposal that solidifies not just Lisa's career success, but her future with the man who saw her potential long before she did. It's a beautiful ending that reminds us that millionaire stories are not just about the money, but about the connections, love, and growth that truly shape our lives.